Hey guys, today's video is part 1 in my Office Worker Athlete series, and this video is going to be all about targeted muscle release. So basically the muscle groups that I'm going to show you how to release are going to be tight in about 90% of you who work a 9-to-5 job and sit a lot. Sitting is a huge factor here, and it's what's really contributing to most of the tightness that I'm going to have you address. Keep in mind that everybody's body is different and everybody's job is different. So these are just general muscle groups that happen to get tight in most of the clients that I work with who have a 9-to-5 job and sit a lot. But everybody is different, so take everything that I say with a grain of salt and kind of test out and try these things on yourself and see how they go for you. So, with no further ado, we're going to get started here. The only tool you need is a foam roller. It can be a high density one, preferably, or a regular 100% foam roller and a piece of open floor. Alright guys, so we're going to kick it off by addressing and releasing the dorsiflexor muscles of the lower leg. So basically what the dorsal flexor muscles do is they pull the foot up into this position right here, which is called the dorsiflex position. So basically, they're right on the side here. And when you're sitting all day, your foot is already in a dorsiflex position, and that's what causes these muscles to get tight. The muscles that we're going to be releasing today are specifically the anterior tibialis, which is right in the front of the shin here, and the peroneal muscles, which are right on the side of the calf, right here. So we're going to start by releasing the anterior tibialis on the shin. What you're going to do is you're going to get your foam roller, put it down, basically get that fleshy part of your shin right here, put that on the foam roller like so, then take your leg that you're not releasing and kind of stack that on top of your hip. Okay, this is pretty painful. It's actually very painful, but you're basically going to keep rolling up and down that fleshy strip on the side of your calf from your knee to ankle, and you're going to spend about 5 minutes doing this each leg until you feel like you've affected some change in there. To get the peroneals, basically what you're going to do is you're going to put your foam roller down. So remember, the peroneals are right here. You're going to twist your foot like 30 degrees or so, stack your feet on top of each other, push as much pressure downwards as you can with the leg that's on top, and just roll it out like this. Okay? It's really hard to affect a lot of change on the peroneals by using that technique, simply because you can't create enough pressure. Unlike the anterior tibialis one, which has all of your body weight pushing down, this one you have to rely on the top leg to push all the way down. So it's not that effective. It'll still get you a degree of release, but to really make this more beneficial, it'd be best to have your workout partner or a friend actually push on your leg, on your shin bone between your knee and your ankle like this as you're rolling it, to add extra pressure so you can get more release. So now we're moving up the leg to the hamstrings and the hip flexors. Okay, basically, since your knee is in flexion, which means it's bent like this while sitting, that basically is going to cause tightness in your hamstring. Okay, also, since your hip is flexed up like this is basically the position of your whole leg and hip while sitting, your hip flexor gets tight. So we're going to address both of those areas. Okay, so to release the hamstrings, you're basically going to put the foam roller underneath your hamstring here, underneath your leg. You're going to stack your feet on top of each other, kind of like when you're doing the peroneal release exercise, and then you're just going to roll from your butt all the way down to the back of your leg. Doing this to both sides for 5 minutes. Much like the peroneal exercise, if you can have a workout partner push on your femur, your leg bone here, in between your knee and your hip, push down, stand above you and push down as you do this, you'll get a lot more release. That, or using a softball, or even a medicine ball will actually work, but trying this with a medicine ball too. Whatever you can basically fit in there, jam in there to affect some change and give you some release. So I've made videos about the hip flexor and stretching that and releasing that in the past, but I'll just go over it again here really quick. I like to use a softball for this, but a foam roller works as well. But what you're going to do is basically you're going to isolate your hip flexor, which is this meaty little bit of tissue right here. Okay, it's right there. It's pretty tight on people, and Lots of people actually roll up on the hip bone when I show them this, so make sure you're on that meaty little patch right there, right above your thigh, okay? So what you're gonna do if you're using a foam roller is you're gonna get your hip down and you're gonna put that meaty notch right in there. Okay guys, I'm right there, right there. Hip down, kind of roll around there, oscillate around a little bit. If that is not working well enough for you and you still feel like your hips are pretty tight, then try a softball. Same thing with this. Put your hips down, get it from the side like this, and then angle your hips down and get the top of it a little bit, okay? And that's how you release the hips. Now we're gonna move into upper body. So basically, if you're sitting at a computer especially, what's gonna get tight on you are your neck muscles behind your neck here, your pecs, and your low back. So we're gonna go quickly over how to release all of those. To start with the pecs, basically, I really like a softball for this one. This works very well to release the pecs, but like I said, you can always do this with a foam roller as well. But basically, with a softball, what you're gonna do is you're gonna put it down, you're gonna start with your one chest muscle, put that right on the ball, put the arm behind your back like you're being handcuffed, and then kind of prop yourself up on your toes if you can stand this. This is very painful for most people. And kind of roll around in there, spending 5 minutes doing so. If you don't have a softball, you can definitely use a foam roller for this purpose. So same thing, I like to angle it a little bit like that. But this, instead of putting my hand behind my back, I like to outstretch my arm like this. Just rolling around there, really breaking up that tissue and causing it to release itself. A great way to get the back is to basically put the roller down and just dig your heels into the ground and prop your back up on the foam roller, okay? This is fine and dandy for most people. A lot of people are really tight here, so this is about all they can take. However, if you're advanced and you're having somebody push on your legs to get more release there, then you might want to consider getting more release here. Instead of having your friend stand on you or push on you in this position, you can actually add more resistance yourself just using a weight. So what I like to do is just grab a 45-pound plate or a 25-pound plate, rest that on my chest, kind of hug it like with my arms like this, and then roll up and down my back from about my mid-back down to my pelvis, okay? Rotating, getting both sides. This will really add a lot of release to this exercise because of the added pressure. Lastly, guys, are the neck muscles, okay? The neck muscles that I'm talking about are right back here. They run right up and down the cervical spine. Now, those get tight in a lot of people that work at a computer, and it's very important to release those. Having said that, the cervical spine is an area that you really you want to be careful with because it's very sensitive. So using a foam roller or any sort of tool is not going to work in that area. What I would recommend you do is have somebody, maybe your spouse, but preferably a certified massage therapist or a structural integration specialist or a rolfer, somebody like that, a manual therapist, work in there with their hands to give you some relief in there. Remember guys, with these release exercises, the more pressure, the better. So always be on the lookout for exercises or foam rolling techniques that you can incorporate a plate into, so whenever pretty much you're getting anything in your back. And if that's not an option, if you're doing your legs or something, look for a partner or somebody that can help you out and kind of push on your leg to give you even more release. The whole point of this series is to help you live a more functional lifestyle in a very time-efficient fashion. With that being said, each muscle group that you release, you should spend 3 to 5 minutes doing so. I gave you about 8 muscle groups to release. So if you spend about 5 minutes on each muscle group, you're going to be doing that for 40 minutes, and that's all prior to the workout. So what I would recommend you do is release muscle groups specific to your activity, exercise, or whatever body group you're working out, muscle group you're working out that day. So for example, if you're going to work out your legs, I would suggest you start with all the hip muscles and legs and the calf area, and maybe forget about doing the upper body until another day. That way it's just going to be a lot more time efficient, and you're not going to have to spend 40 minutes on top of everything else that you have to do that day just releasing yourself. Hope that video was helpful, guys. Don't forget to subscribe And stay tuned for part 2 where I go over targeted strengthening techniques.